we are going to move on to Thursday. This was about preventing stress and burnout. So it was all about stress, burnout, and how important it is to practice self-love and prevent it. And this was written again by Jess McBess. So I saw this actually on their caregivers page. So hats off to Ruru, aka Charlotte, or vice versa, for posting this on the page. And it just struck me and it just stuck with me, and we used it. And it's basically talking about your emotional battery. Like, where are you? Are you focused, which would mean you're having normal sleeping habits and you're having normal eating habits, you're feeling calm, you're feeling steady. And emotionally, that would mean that you're feeling creative, you're feeling positive, you're thriving, you're engaged, you're a little bit more consistent. Are you functioning? Which means physically you have little to no physical change, and emotionally you're feeling consistent and some enjoyment. There's kind of like up and down days. You're functioning. Are you feeling overworked? So physically you have muscle tension, you've got some headaches, you're a little bit lower on energy, and emotionally you might be feeling some anxiety, some panic, a decrease in joy, some nervousness, maybe a little tired. Are you feeling depleted? Depleted might lead you to physically feel fatigue, to feel aches and pains. There's some sleep issues happening. There might be an appetite change. And emotionally, lack of motivation, poor performance, sense of hopelessness. And then there's the all bottom burnout, where physically, when you're feeling burned out, you might be feeling having a lot more issues sleeping, having a lot more panic attacks. Maybe just complete utter exhaustion. And then emotionally, if you're burned out, you might be feeling numb, empty, feeling more lost, depressed, and an inability to cope. So this is pretty interesting how they did this at a battery, like where's your battery? And I think it's very normal to feel any of these at any given moment. I vacillate during a week. See, because when I have that window of opportunity where I wake up and all the stars have aligned and I'm feeling really good, what do? I push, push, push. What happens the next day? I'm depleted completely. Anybody knows me, I become completely depleted because I just gave everything that I had on like one day. And what Jess reminds us is that there's 3 pillars to basically practice when you want to reduce stress and burnout. And she says, here's the definitions of those pillars. So number 1, self-love. These are the things you want to remember if you're feeling stressed and burned out. So stress love is basically having a regard for oneself, for your own well-being and your happiness. And number 2 is remembering to have self-care. And what does self-care really mean? It's more than just going and getting a pedicure. That could be self-care though. It's more than just taking a spa bath. Self-care means, sorry, I have something, it's a little hair in my eye. Self-care is the actual practice of taking an active role in your own well-being, in your own happiness. And in particular, doing this when you're having periods of stress or burnout, and the practice of taking action to preserve or improve your own health. That would be really the core of what self-care is. And of course, mental health. And that would be a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. So she also includes 9 ways to recover from burnout. So I'm getting a lot from this post. You know, it's so funny when you read people's posts, you can very easily read into it and say, I'm wondering how this person's doing to make them feel so passionate about this. So one has to wonder, is there a feeling going around in the community of a lot of burnout? Because we do read the community a lot when we decide what we're going to post. And it could just be that there's a change of weather and people are feeling some seasonal allergies or the remnants of colds and flu season, and people are just feeling really burned out. But if you want to know tips on how to recover from burnout and moving forward when you're exhausted, let's take a look at a couple of these. So first, you want to grant yourself permission to be imperfect. It is perfectly okay to be imperfect because we're all imperfect. And it's not a negative. It's just part of being a human, right? If you feel you need help, seek professional help. Seek out some therapy. It's as important as going to a cardiologist. It's as important as going to your primary care. Therapy fixes something that we can't see. We can't see emotions. We can't see what's going on deep inside our brain, but it might need to be fixed or have a little tune-up, and that's okay. So seek out a therapist that you might feel comfortable with. Take some time to actively reflect on your actual efforts and achievements. There's no such thing as small. So we often say doing nothing is doing something. That's an achievement because you're doing what your body might actually need for the day. So if you had this big laundry list of things you wanted to accomplish that day, but you only accomplished one, don't negate the fact that you have a bunch of others to add to tomorrow's list. Celebrate the one. It's not that that's all you could do. It is something that you did. It's just changing the script that's in your own mind. Strengthen your active reflection and self-compassion practices. We do not have enough compassion for our own selves, and we do it with the community, we do it with others. All of us are guilty of this, but when it comes to ourselves, I think we're our harshest critic. We How often is it that you just say wonderful things about yourself versus, God, I'm having a really rough hair day, or I guess wrinkles. I look at myself and this clothes doesn't fit right. Why do we do that? It's not getting us anywhere. Why not just say something kind to yourself like you would say to another? You're supposed to be your number one priority and your own biggest advocate and cheerleader. So try practicing that a little bit when you're feeling burned out. Develop daily strategies to help prevent the burnout to begin with, whatever that might be for you. Again, it goes back to you set your own expectations. My husband will say this often to me: you're your own boss. Why did you schedule yourself the way that you did? No wonder you're exhausted. Don't do anything tomorrow. Schedule a nothing day. And he's right. Another member of our community, one of our board members, she actually highlights one whole week a month, and she is not allowed to make any medical appointments unless it's an emergency. She gives herself one whole week off where she just doesn't do anything medical. She just refuses. It's just her time to not have anything medical related. And that gives her an energetic boost and it reduces her stress. So, develop your own strategy that's going to help you not be burned out, and create action items for systemic change. So for me, coming out of this, I'm going to create action items to definitely be better when it comes to taking the medicine on time. There is no try to take it. There is just take it on time. So whatever I need that's going to make sure that that's 100% all the time, I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to beat myself up if I'm a couple hours late, because it just can happen. Recognize and replace negative self-talk. We just talked about this. So instead of getting up and saying, this looks terrible, or I sounded terrible, or whatever the case is, find the positive that other people find in you. Find it for yourself. It's going to feel a million times better. And consider taking time off to hit your reset button. And I will tell you, it's so important to do. And I do that often. I will just take a couple days. I don't turn on the phone until it's nighttime and I do the TikTok. But other than that, I need time to I just need to reset. I need to reset my closet often. I need to reset my car often. I need to reset my catch-all area in the kitchen often, and I need to reset my life sometimes often. I probably should be doing it more often, and that's okay. It's your life. Do it whenever you need to, however you need to, in whatever form you need to, but a reset feels so good. It's just like giving yourself permission to kind of start over, and it's like exfoliating bad habits, exfoliating clutter, exfoliating whatever it is, and just starting fresh. I mean, it makes me smile because it feels good to do it. And adopt an ownership mindset. You own this life of yours. You own yourself. So take care of it the best way that you need to. Jess talks about how this upcoming weekend, she wanted everybody to take time to rest, reset, and rejuvenate. She was taking some hot baths, some nature walks, visits with friends to ensure that she's resetting and preparing herself for the week ahead. And I think everybody should try that. Functioning and focused is always a good place on the battery scale to be, right? So curious to know, what's your battery been running at? Is it running low? Is it running high? Do you need it to recharge or reset your battery? It gave me a lot of pause to think about, a lot of stuff to think about. I hit my pause button and went over this quite a few times. So I'm really appreciative of her finding this for us for Therapeutic Thursday. Curious to know anybody's thoughts about that.
It's a quiet chat. One of the most interesting things that I've heard when it comes to self-care is treat yourself like you would treat your best friend, right? And it's like you're always willing to go, the extra mile for your best friend. You're like, oh man, I don't want to let that guy down.
Right.
But like when it comes to you, you're like, oh, just whatever, tomorrow's fine. It's so
Yes.
easy. It's so easy, right? Like,
So easy.
you know, the ways I take care of my clients, and then I never direct that energy back to myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird.
It is weird and it's crazy. I mean, I'll just think about, this weekend I had been away and on a little vacation, celebrate my sister's birthday, did a ton of walking in Universal. Anybody who's been there knows you just walk. It doesn't matter if you have clouds for shoes, you're going to end up in pain. But I think to myself how much walking I did and how little I did before. And if I can do that in such a condensed period of time, why am I not doing it every single day? There's no excuse not to just get up and do it. And I would encourage anybody to get up and do something, even if it's for 15 minutes, just do it. And yet I'm not doing something that'd be so beneficial for myself. And so that's part of the reset. I need to reset and do something that's really going to make a difference for my own life, only for the positive. As long as I'm not doing 20,000 steps in a day, I'm going to be happy with whatever I do because it won't hurt. That hurt. It was very painful. Anybody who's done it, you all know. I'm going to never do it again until there's grandbabies in my life one day. Right now, these adult feet, it's painful, but I want to do something. So you're right, Josh. A lot of times people they're there to really help others. When it comes to yourself, it's like the skills go out the window. Treat yourself as kindly, and we are our best friends. Very good point. Yep.
Hmm.